I am Miss Curtin, and this is
Mrs. Ailing.
the Meet the Teacher for Year 6 this year. Just to let you know, we are recording the session for anybody that can't attend today. So if you'd rather not be on the camera on or whatever, then please feel free to turn it off. So Meet the Teacher 2024-25. I can't believe the summer holidays are over and we are back. And we have loved having your children in our classes, even if it has only been for, this is day
5, 6.
6. So yes, let's make a start. Click. So staff in year 6 this year is myself. I'm the upper key stage 2 phase lead as well for year 5 and year 6, and my name's Miss Curtin. And then we have,
and in Python's class, so I'm Mrs. Ailing, class teacher. And then for the year 6 teaching assistants, which we have across the classes, we have Mrs. O'Sullivan and Mrs. Forbes, who are based in Cobras, and Mrs. Napoli and Mrs. Ford, who are based in Python's.
So the structure of the day is very similar to last year. The children will come in at 8:35 and we'll start with arithmetic, and we will take the register 8:45 prompt. 8:55 we start our English, which at the moment we're actually writing a letter as an evacuee, which is part of our class reader. Good night, Mr. Tom. 10 o'clock we'd start whole class reading, which will be on a variety of different texts which we will study for that week. And then at 10:30 on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday, we have assemblies. Monday being a values assembly, Wednesday being a behaviour assembly, and Friday being an achievement assembly. Then we have our playtime, and then we come back in and we start maths. At the moment, we're focusing on place value, and then we have our lunch. And then in the afternoon, we normally fit in around 3 sessions, 2 longer ones and a shorter one, which we do our SPAG, which is spelling, punctuation, and grammar. And then we do 2 humanities or computing or science, but any of our foundation subjects that we need to cover. And 3:15 is a prompt home time.
So the curriculum we have, including of English, we have reading, writing, and SPAG, like Ms. Curtin said, with spelling, punctuation, and grammar. In maths, we have arithmetic, as well as their maths knowledge in the maths lessons. We have science, PE, PSHE, art, music. Then we have geography, history, and RE, which are all part and parcel of our new Opening World scheme, which we'll talk more about in a second. And we have computing, DT, and French.
So Opening Worlds is a new programme, and each year group has a certain curriculum that they cover. It's really knowledge rich, lots of ambitious vocabulary, which actually helps us out a huge deal with the SATs and the reading paper, because the children come across a lot of words which they wouldn't necessarily come across if they weren't learning about rivers or population or the Romans, or Egyptians or anything like that. So that's very, very helpful. They learn all about their topics, which are really carefully planned with slideshows, with lots of retrieval activities, which allows them to retrieve any knowledge from previous lessons. And also the lessons are done in small steps. If you would like to know any more, I'm sure they would tell you a whole wealth of Roman knowledge over the kitchen table during dinner tonight. But we can't wait to get started. And this will also link to our trip, which we will talk about in a minute. So these are the Opening Worlds topics that we're going to be focusing on this year. At the moment, as you can see, we've started with the Roman Republic. And then in geography, we are going to be starting with the Rhine and the Mediterranean. And in RE, the family of Jesus. And each bullet point down is a new half term. So after the Roman Republic, after half term, we then do the Roman Empire. It's all chronological. It all interweaves and interlinks. The children are able to make lots and lots of links, both with the year 3 curriculum, the year 4 curriculum, the year 5 curriculum, and the year 6 curriculum. They all link and build upon one another, which is a very, very good way of ensuring that they keep all that knowledge inside their heads.
Okay, so educational visits and Spark Days. So we organise Spark Days or trips throughout most of our half-term terms. So this term, autumn one, we are going to be going to Ufton Court, we hope, for a reenactment activity and Roman skills activity to link with our history, Roman Republic and Roman Empire. And any further trips and visits that we add throughout the year will just be communicated to you throughout the year, as we haven't booked any yet. We of course do have the residential, which again we will talk about in a little bit.
So SATs, it seems to be the big buzzword. Even the children are saying it. I say, well, they're so far away. We don't need to focus on them just yet or bear too much pressure on that particular word. But they are going ahead as normal this year. They start on the 12th of May. It is a week long of assessments, normally happening only in the morning. So they'll have one test or quiz, which I think is a little bit of a softer way of putting it. In the morning, and then in the afternoons they'll have a little bit more of revision and some chill time. It is not anything to worry about. We are a school that prides ourselves on putting children's well-being and mental health first, and that the SATs are not going to change their lives. So it's something that we will work hard to, and it's nice to try our best and show our best, but it's certainly not going to sort of plan our life achievements determined on what we get in our SAT. So we don't massively focus on those at the moment, but they are going ahead, and it's just sort of a key date is the 12th of May, because that week, obviously no holidays, please. Yeah, that'll be a week where we need to have lots of early nights, lots of calm, good breakfasts and things like that, and just to give them the support that I know that you all do anyway, but they also deserve.
We will have as well a SATs webinar evening closer to the time, but if of course you have any questions prior to this meeting, please come and see us. That's not a problem. So PPA, this is a weekly afternoon for all teachers to have for planning, preparation and assessment time. For us, both myself and Miss Curtin, Year 6 will be a Monday afternoon, and during that time they are going to be taught by Mrs Coleman and Mrs O'Sullivan, in which they will actually be doing PE as well as of course their SPAG and spelling.
So with P like all, we need to have our hair up. There's no bracelets allowed. We've had a few bracelets in Year 6. So yeah, please, no jewellery, retainers in ears and proper school PE kit. So no sports clothes. You know, it's a pair of black shorts or black leggings, trainers, and then the burgundy Groveland's PE t-shirt or a plain burgundy t-shirt is fine with either their school jumper or they can have a burgundy hooded jumper, like a zippy one at the front. That should be fine. So homework, our homework actually starts next week. Homework, we use CGP books, and we never send home a homework that hasn't already been taught in class. So it is definitely a consolidation activity. It's not meant to be stressful. It's not meant to cause any angst in the home. But the fact of the matter is that this is their last year of primary school, and they will be moving to secondary. And our feeder secondary schools, both Three Rivers and Heathside, you know, do send out homework for every single subject, and we have a responsibility as teachers in the last year of primary to prepare them for that. So we are going to make sure that homework is sent in. So homework goes out on I feel like I've been off school for too long, Wednesday, and it comes back in on a Monday. Now, obviously, we're not robots, we're human beings, and we say that to the children all the time, and we can make the odd mistake when we forget it. If the children forget homework on a Monday, they will be asked to stay in for 5 minutes with us at break time and be given the opportunity to bring it on a Tuesday. If it's then not in on the Tuesday, then they will be given a reflection. And that is policy for both Year 5 and Year 6 children. It's done in a very caring way. You know, it's not that they're in trouble, but it's to help them and understand that actions have consequences, and they need to be organized. They need to be ready for their day, and they need to be responsible for getting themselves organized. So that's the homework. There will be maximum 3 books a week, and we always say to the children it would probably be better not to leave it until the Sunday night, you know, and then expect to have it all done the Sunday night and bring it in on the Monday, but to try and, you know, spread it out across the week. It goes out on the Wednesday. The children have also got a Thursday and a Friday to look through their homework and come back to us and say, Miss Curtin, I've had a look at my homework and I really don't understand these pages in grammar, or I really don't understand these pages in maths. And if the children have that foresight and they come in and they let us know they're not too sure, they're feeling a bit nervous about it, we will spend our own time, our own break, lunch, whenever, to sit down and go through that with your child. So it really is beneficial to them to have a little look before, check that they're all okay with it. And then if they're not, to come in and ask us, because we are always more than happy to support and help them if there's any of that sort of misunderstandings. In terms of reading, we do expect everybody to read every night. Again, in Years 5 and Year 6, we're sort of giving them that independence, that trust. We say they can write in their own reading records, but it would be nice, and I ask as parents maybe to try and read with them just at least once a week, just so that you can ask them maybe some questions about what they're reading, just to make sure that they're understanding. I mean, it's all good reading words, but to actually understand what the words mean and what is actually happening in the story or whatever genre they have chosen is really, really important. So they can read alone and they can write in their reading records, but we do ask if you can fit it in to read with them at least once a week, just to ensure that they're on the right track, they understand the words, they understand the comprehension. And then we have Timetable Rock Stars as well, which isn't on this slide, but as a year group, we're quite competitive. So we are currently class versus class and Timetable Rock Stars. So if they can, if you have a 10-minute journey on the way to school in the car, perfect time to chuck them a phone or whatever it is, and they have you go on the times tables. Just 10 minutes a day will make the world of difference. I cannot emphasize, and I always say to them, I'm not trying to be an old boring person when I say this to them every single day of every single maths lesson, but times tables really do underpin so many different concepts in maths. And if they can make those connections with their times tables, they will be so much more accurate, so much more quicker, and so much more successful in completing the maths expectations of year 6. Okay.
Okay, so expectations, obviously attendance, it is highly important. We do expect your child to be on time each day. So doors will open at 8:35 and registers are to be taken at 8:45. So they have that 10-minute window to get themselves in. Attendance is expected to be higher than 96%. With uniform, we have said about PE uniform already, but school uniform is in line with the Groveland's uniform expectations. So we have to be reminded there's no jewellery, obviously including earrings. If they have had their ears pierced, you can get the little plastic retainers, so just make sure they're in there. Large hair accessories, dyed hair, shaved sections, they're not permitted in school, so please just be mindful of that. Black trainers and branded socks are also not permitted, so please ensure they do have school shoes and the normal coloured socks, which I believe to be white, black and grey. PE kit, please ensure that your child wears their PE kit to school on Monday. That's because that's their day for PE, and that is for both classes, Cobras and Pythons.
And the children were all a bit confused. What, we've only got PE once on a Monday? So we had to explain that we actually have PE all afternoon. So that 2-hour legal expectation that schools deliver 2 hours of physical education a week, we do ours come all the way through on a Monday afternoon. That allows us on our other afternoons to use the support we have with our teaching assistants to deliver any interventions and help any children sort of close the gap on any knowledge that they might be missing. So these are our Groveland's values: kindness, respect, friendship, uniqueness, trust and determination, something that we spout constantly in the classroom and are very, very important, I think, in just being a good human. And at the end of the day, they might be able to do their times tables, but are they a nice human? And I feel like that's more important than knowing 7 times 9. So if you could also preach our values at home, we would be very, very grateful. If they show these values, we have values coins, and all of these values coins get collected up and then they get sort of like presented at an assembly come the end of a term. And each class has created a sort of set of promises based on these values, which is really nice to have up in the classroom, so that everybody can be reminded of how to be a nice human.
We also do as well send home Groveland's praise postcards to each home. So if we recognise their efforts for these values, then they get a nice little postcard in the post, which is nice for them to see. So something else to look forward to throughout the year.
So Frogs class rep, this is a plea from Frogs for a class rep, and you can see from the screen a Frogs rep is a point of contact, so helping to sort of keep community links, helping to communicate staff or so staff collections and letters and communications from school and events. They will sort of push those out to WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups, and help organise events. Basically, just be a good egg, a good frog. So they have asked us to put a plea out. If you are interested and you would like to be a frog and be a class rep, not literally, and be a class rep for Cobras or Pythons, please go to the front office or contact them through Facebook. We currently don't have one for Pythons or for Cobras at the moment, so would be very, very pleased if anyone fancied taking up that role.
So behaviour system, like we said before, with the values tokens, if they are demonstrating any of those values, they are awarded those tokens. And again, they collect, and they are, I think it's every term for each house. The winning house each term gets to have a special treat in the school. So it really is something that we're trying to push, and they have their own house colour. If you're not sure of what colour they are, please do let us know, but I'm hoping that the children know by now in year 6 as well. So yeah, just something to look forward to and work towards.
So concerns, if a child is worried about something, like I said, as a school and certainly as a year group, we put mental health and wellbeing as an absolute priority. So if your child is worried about something, then please encourage them to speak about it. They can either come and speak to any member of staff that they trust or a key adult that they know. They can obviously talk to you, their parent or carer, who you can then relay the worries to us. But also we do have a I wish my teacher knew box in the classroom. So if they don't want to necessarily verbalize it, they can write it down. And that box is checked every day by the class teacher. Yeah. And it's just a way of communicating without actually putting too much pressure for the child feeling too much pressure, let's say. And also, if you as a parent or a carer have any concerns, please obviously first of all speak to the class teacher. We're your first port of call. If this hasn't necessarily been resolved, then please feel free to email me through info, and they will forward me any emails as the phase leader. And then if you feel this still hasn't necessarily been resolved, then you can then also escalate it up to the senior leadership team, which would be Mrs. Coleman or Mr. Tuck.
So parent meetings, all parents will be invited to make an appointment for the parent consultation evenings, both in the autumn and spring. We don't have one in the summer, but you do get the end of year report. We also have, for any children with special educational needs, we'll also be invited to an additional pupil passport meeting. That's every term, just to specifically talk to them about their targets. So by all means, please do feel free to sign up and have a parent meeting and have a chat with us.
And please do, because it's like, it's all right. It's you know, with year 5 and year 6, obviously they walk home. So we don't often get to see the parents or the carers, which in some ways is a great shame, but obviously it's good to promote their independence. So those parent meetings, especially for the year groups where the children are permitted to walk home, is a really important time that we can come together and we can discuss with you all of the fantastic successes, but any worries that we have as well, and vice versa. So I really urge all of you to sign up for parents' evenings. And with the special educational needs, you will be invited and get a letter with that. Okay. So any questions? I didn't say this at the beginning, silly me, but I was going to say to pop them into the chat. However, please feel free to shout any questions out that you may have. If they're particularly relating to your child and not necessarily need to be done in a more public forum, then please feel free to grab either myself or Mrs. Ailing on the door any day after school, or again, email info, and they will always make sure that we get any messages that we need. So I'm just going to stop sharing now and come back to the main screen and just ask, if I just quickly check the chat. Okay, there's nothing in there at the moment. Maybe we've done a pretty good job at rambling on and giving all the information. If there are any questions, guys, please feel free to shout any out now. Amazing. Well, I'll take that as we've done a pretty good job. High five. And we look forward to seeing all of you, hopefully parents' evenings, Christmas carol concerts, and all the other amazing things that we've got planned in year 6. But yes, we're always here, and we hope that your children have the best year 6 year possible. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Okay, how do I get out?
Stop recording. Just, yeah.